Without further ado, I'm going to bring up our first speaker. He's extremely involved in the community here in Longmont, Colorado. He serves on the board of directors for both the Longmont Area Chamber of Commerce and the Longmont Area Economic Council. He has also led Leadership Longmont, a course that I took part in last year, which is a program put on by the Chamber of Commerce. And that's the first time I ever heard him speak. He's a great speaker, is very passionate about leadership, and we're excited to have him here tonight. So please give a warm welcome to our District Superintendent, Dr. Don Haddad.
Well, I'm just testing this thing's working. I want to start by thanking all of you for being here, and then also a special thanks to Doug, one of our students, and Carrie. Is Carrie in here? Carrie Adams? She's outside. The leadership program at Silver Creek has really turned out to be, there's Carrie, something pretty special. I remember several years back when they first talked about it, and it was in its infancy, and now we have several hundred students, and they really are doing amazing work, interacting with leaders throughout the community and getting those real-life experiences that we know are so critically important. So when Doug asked me, he was a member of our Leadership Longmont class, when he asked me to speak at this, I enthusiastically said yes. I'm going to share with you a couple of thoughts that I have about leadership and maybe where I developed some of the ways in which I think. If you were to pull up the word leadership or Google it somewhere, you could see it defined or described literally in 1,000 different ways. Everybody comes to the table with their own description. Some will say, well, leadership is about being really smart. And I can tell you there are a lot of smart people that aren't necessarily leaders. Some will say leadership is about honesty. Well, there are a lot of honest people that aren't necessarily leaders. But the one thing you know is a book that was written by Marcus Buckingham. And as I read it, it really captured the essence of leadership where I was concerned. And he talks about two things that have to be in place. The first is you have to have this compelling, clear vision for a better future. And you have to, as a leader, be able to see it clearly and believe in it. And secondly, but simultaneous to the vision, you have to be able to inspire people to that better future. Inspire comes from the Latin, means to breathe life into. And it's really important, he talks about the two of those coming together simultaneously, because if you have a clear vision for a better future, but you can't inspire anybody to it, then you usually end up just kind of chasing it indefinitely, and you never seem to get there. And on the flip side of that coin, if you have a charismatic personality and you're enthusiastic and you can inspire everyone, but you're not really clear on what it is that you're inspiring them to, then you end up with a lot of excited people and chaos soon ensues, and then you end up with nothing. So you have to have the two, the vision coupled with the ability to inspire. And you also have to be clear on the fact that leadership is about people. You manage projects, you manage tasks, you manage your time, you manage an organization from one perspective. But leadership is all about people. It's the ability to relate to them and to inspire them. I'm going to give you an example that's practical in terms of our school district, how you have to have the vision coupled with the ability to inspire. You know, back in 2002, we went through a catastrophic financial shortfall, and it was through some accounting errors. And that really set St. Brain back on its heels. And several years later, they realized that perhaps the only way to begin to bring St. Brain back was through what we call a mill levy override, because we needed to generate additional resources and additional funding. And so this really smart group of people got together, and they put together what's called a mill levy override package. And it's a description of, if we were to go to the taxpayers and ask them for additional money, what would we be asking them for in terms of technology, class sizes, et cetera, et cetera. And so they developed this plan. They put together that vision for a better future. The problem was that they weren't able to inspire the community, the people, to believe or to understand exactly what that better future was going to look like. And how was it going to be a better future for everyone involved, not just people within the school district. So needless to say, the vision, without the inspiration, led to a failed effort, and the mill levy did not pass. And so St. Vrain began and continued to limp along, and they decided they needed to try that again a couple of years later. And the exact same thing happened. And this is where people really miss the boat, where leadership is concerned. Remember, it's all about people. So once again, they put together a compelling vision, really laid out a well-thought-out plan, and that's where it ended. Now, they did send out flyers, they did send out brochures, they did send out postcards, and they had a couple of presentations. And there were some yard signs. But again, what was lacking was the ability to inspire an entire community around why would a great school district be important. And you can only do that when you're dealing with people. You can only do that face to face. You have to engage people personally if you're going to inspire them. And so in 2008, I became the superintendent, and we knew at that point, because things had gotten so difficult in terms of resources not being available, that we were going to have to go again, even though some were saying, you've already gone twice, don't go again. People aren't ready for it. Well, we needed to, because our kids' best interest was at stake, and our community's best interest was at stake. We absolutely needed resources to be able to move the district forward. So once again, we put together the plan. The thing that was different this time around, we did close to 300 presentations over a period of time with every single elected official, every single civic organization, every single business organization, whether it was a chamber, the Longmont Area Economic Council. We met with the media, every single parent group, the students were involved, the teachers were involved, the community was involved. And what we talked to them about, we inspired them towards the understanding that a great school district is required if you want a great community. If you want an economy that's robust and flourishing, you have to have a great school district. If you want public safety to be intact, you have to have a great school district. If you want the values of your property, your homes, to be at the highest levels, you have to understand that that's only going to happen with a great school system in place. If you want businesses to flourish, if you want to recruit the corporate sector, if you want people, families, to move into your community, you have to have a great school system. If every time you enter into a business, if you want the quality of the service you receive, whether it's a bank or a Burger King or Safeway, you have to have a great school system. And so we weren't out selling the notion that we wanted to lower class sizes or that we wanted to give ourselves a raise or that we wanted to make sure that we had a computer in the classroom. Those things are important, but they're not inspirational. They don't cause a community to rally around something special. And by the time we were done, we passed the district's first mill levy override in the history of our school district for $16.5 million, coupled with a $189 million bond to build some new schools and to renovate existing schools and to upgrade our facilities. And what we were able to do is put together the vision, and equally, if not more important, we were able to inspire people to that vision. What we also understood, because school systems don't just do something and then they're set for life, we knew that our community was going to be critically important always. And the only way that they were going to always continue to be there for us is if they believed that we were true to our word. Were we going to use the money as we said, and were we going to produce the results we promised? So our integrity was at stake. Our integrity was at stake, and our integrity is critical. Integrity, from the Latin word, means to be kept whole. to avoid cracks or dents or nicks because you said something and did something else. You promised something, but you didn't deliver on your promise. And so not only did we tell people what we were going to do, it was important that we now followed up with what we were going to do and make sure that we did it. And there are always going to be opportunities as a leader to give away your integrity. Every single week in my job, somebody inevitably comes to me and hands me on a silver platter the opportunity to give away my integrity. Almost weekly. It's absolutely critical that you maintain that sense of wholeness. You know, it dates way back, and I tell this every time I talk, so some of you may have heard it, but I found it interesting even back as far as the Roman Empire, when the soldiers would get ready to go into battle. They would line up, and they would have their body armor, and as the centurion would walk in front of them, they would bang on their armor over their heart, and if that armor was intact with integrity, it would make a certain sound, and they would yell the word integritus. But if the armor was dented or had nicks in it, it would make a different sound. And if it did, they would have to step back because what it meant is they were not whole. They were not ready to go into battle and do their best work. And it's the same thing in leadership. If you allow people, every time you allow someone to compromise your integrity, you endure a nick or a dent or a curvature in who you are. And over time, if you give away your integrity enough, you lose your ability to lead effectively. The interesting thing was I had that opportunity offered to me by the Commissioner of Education at the time. Race to the Top, from a state perspective, was being rolled out, and millions of dollars were being offered to school districts and to states, actually. And in turn, you would have to sign on to their agenda. And their agenda was in complete opposition to what we had promised our community. Our agenda was based on children in neighborhood schools and high-quality teachers and a great curriculum and resource-rich environments and safe environments. What the Race to the Top application wanted us to sign on to was for-profit education, for privatizing, for evaluating teachers based solely on test scores, for firing teachers and principals in certain schools that didn't align with a certain philosophy, for pay-for-performance schemes that don't work in the public sector. And in turn, they were going to give us $1.5 million. And so I was faced with the opportunity to give away my integrity, the promises we made to our community, to accept the $1.5 million in a time when we could certainly use the money. But what I understood and what my team understood and our Board of Education understood, that it was more important that we remain intact, that we remain whole and true to our promises, and that not only the money would come, but the success would follow. And then we could stand up in front of an audience and tell them the truth without having to worry about it being inconsistent with what we actually did. Now here's the beauty of the situation. The state did not win Race to the Top. Colorado did not win Race to the Top. We were the only school district in the Front Range metro area that chose not to sign on to that agenda. And the state, while they were considered a front runner, they did not win. Several years later, the administration offered a district Race to the Top competition. And they said, you as a district can create your own mission and vision. And if we believe it's compelling enough, then you can compete for these dollars. So we thought, let's do it. And we did. We put together our vision about great teachers in the classroom, about engaging the community, about extending the school year for kids who needed it into the summer, about technology, about a lot of things that we believed in. And we won $16.5 million, the only school district in Colorado to win Race to the Top, and one of only 16 throughout the entire nation. So not only did we not give away our integrity for the 1.5 million, but we kept our integrity and got 16.5 million. We then followed up with the I3 grant for 5 million, and our score, it was around innovation, was the highest score in the nation. And we outscored institutions like Harvard University because we stayed true to who we were, what we believed, and our vision and mission was strong. So in the end, we came away with our integrity, we came away with the resources, we kept the trust of the community, and the results have followed. And we're very proud of that. And to show you similar situations outside of the school system, back in the day, a number of years ago, you remember the Tylenol story? When somebody tampered with the Tylenol and they put poison in there, and it was found that several people died, and the CEO at the time was faced with, do we go public with this, knowing that it could bring our company, Johnson & Johnson, to its knees, and we could eventually go out of business? Or do we tell the public, and do we act with integrity? And he chose to act with integrity, and they pulled all of the bottles off the shelves, and that's where they came up with the tamper-proof bottle that we see today. And when you open that tab and you say, how come I can't get in there? That's because of that incident. And they refunded all of the people, but they came out forward and forthright and told the truth. And not only did they survive, but their company flourished, and they experienced the highest financial gains ever. So he kept his integrity, and the success followed. And he could have just as easily decided to try to cover it up. And we've seen that. What are we hearing about today with General Motors, with the switch? They knew that it could compromise someone's safety, but they chose money over safety. And look where it's gotten. And Toyota, the accelerators that stick, they knew about that. And only after they were found out did they then do the right thing and begin to recall the cars. So they've given away their integrity in hopes of greater profit. And that formula just doesn't work. It may work short term, but it doesn't work long term. And I would tell you, in this line of work, you have to be passionate about what you do. Because it's long since stopped being a job. It's something that I believe in. The purpose of public education is so critical. It's so powerful. It's the great equalizer. It's what causes every single person an opportunity to be successful. And that's why we have to guard against agendas that seek to diminish public education. It's the opportunity that we give every single child, regardless of their socioeconomic status, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of who they are. It is their chance to be successful. And the future of our country depends on great educational systems. Some people don't realize that these kindergartners really do grow up. They grow up and they become you and me. They are the future of our country. And so we have to invest in them and in our school systems. Mark Twain said, from our public schools comes the greatness of a nation. And it's absolutely true. 90% of every one of our children in this country attends a public school. 90%. So all of the options that are out there, and some of them are very good options, but among all the options, 90% of the children in this country attend public schools. So it makes perfect sense to me that if we want 90% of our future population to be well-equipped and successful, then we better invest and take care of our public education system. I have a quote that I've given to every single administrator in our district and asked them to keep it in a place where they can see it. And it's a picture frame, And it's something that I look at almost on a daily basis, and it reminds me of the difficulties within this job, but the importance of this job. And it says, it's entitled Today, and it's got a backdrop of the sun coming up. And it goes like this. It says, today I will be too calm for worry. And that's really important, because when you have 32,000 students that are counting on the decisions you make, and their 60,000 parents, and then the 120,000 community members, and the businesses, and everything, you have cause for worry on a daily basis. Because the decisions you make will impact most of these people on a daily basis. So be too calm for worry. Be too noble for anger. It could be easy to get angry in this job because of some of the things that you see. But when you get angry as a leader, you lose your way. So you have to keep your highs low and your lows high, and you have to find that even ground, and you have to function with integrity and not from a place of anger. And then it says, be too strong for defeat. You remember the story of the 2 mill levies that didn't pass? I think back and I wonder if that would have demoralized us to the point where we didn't go for a 3rd mill levy. Where would our children be today? Where would our community be today? You have to be too strong for defeat and setbacks because you're going to experience them and you have to forge ahead. And then it goes on to finish by saying, to stand for something. Today I will stand for something. And today I will make a difference. And that's what I share with each of our administrators every single day. That I want you to make a difference today. I want you to come to work inspired so that you can inspire others and so that you can make a difference in the lives of not only the kids, but the teachers, the parents in our community, the businesses, the corporate sector, the elected officials, the media, everyone. Today, I will make a difference. And at the end of the day, that is the essence of leadership. A better future and the ability to inspire others to that better future. I again want to close by thanking Doug for your leadership in bringing us together, and Carrie for your leadership in establishing a wonderful program. And I want to thank all of you for being here today and for supporting the St. Vrain Valley Schools. So thanks a lot.